Okay, I believe we are live. Aloha, everyone. We are live and inspired today. I am your host, Gregory Cobra, and I am doing this video. The reason why I'm doing this video is because tomorrow is going to be Sunday, the 17th, and Gentlemen with Cocktails will not be airing. We were going to try to do a show today earlier, but unfortunately, Chris, the other co-host, also known as the Chris in some other realms, unfortunately has come down with the flu, and I felt kind of bad about not doing a show, so I figured, well, there is a topic that I kind of wanted to get to, and that was, I did a video before about Shazam and certain ilk of that nature, about the character and going into all that jazz. For like the movie coming up, but also too, I wanted to do another one just because I always tend to call the character Captain Marvel Billy Batson, and then I call Carol Danvers Captain Marvel Carol Danvers, to differentiate from the two, or I just say Shazam because that's what he is known by now, Billy Batson. And I kind of wanted to get into why that is, kind of delve deeper into, get more in depth and enriched in it for everyone who kind of like a tutorial, basically, as to why, hey, back in the 90s, the character used to be called Captain Marvel. Even there was like a 70s show with him that, with Billy riding around with Freddie Freeman, his best friend, and his sister, Mary Marvel or Mary Batson. And it's like, what the heck? Why is Captain Marvel no longer Captain Marvel? And I wanted to kind of get into that a little bit today, or tonight if I could. And so let us start with, okay, the big thing. Why is Captain Marvel no longer Captain Marvel Billy Batson in DC Comics? Well, you have to go back to the beginning, right? And where the first... And so the beginning, and I'll get into where the name Shazam kind of first started. So in the beginning, I believe in Wiz Comics number 2, this is where we first see Captain Marvel Billy Batson. And it was by Fawcett, which is Fawcett Comics, which was under Fawcett Publications. Now, basically, the character, if you don't know, where Superman is a Kryptonian, he's an alien who is a humanoid alien, if you will, who gets his power from our yellow sun. That's why, and he is a solar battery. Okay. So, and the reason why I bring up Superman is because at the time Fawcett was actually sued by DC in a copyright infringement, a legal case by them that basically lasted, I believe, all the way to 1953, and I think it started in like 1944, if I'm not mistaken. So like 9 years they were in this legal battle with DC, because DC, as you know, I mean, Superman is the template for all superheroes. So getting into that, well, Fawcett makes their character Shazam, and yeah, I mean, he looks a lot like Superman. But the thing is that there was presidents, for Fawcett to have a case. And the thing is that though Superman is a Kryptonian and comes from a distant planet and has superpowers and stuff like that from our yellow sun, the thing is that Fawcett was like, listen, look, Billy Batson is a 14-year-old boy who turns into Captain Marvel, and he gets his powers that are magic based and stuff like that from the wizard Shazam. Okay, so where this guy's an alien, Superman, we're more magic based. Now, at the time, I don't believe it was like heavily like magic based and stuff like that. Like not like Lord of the Rings, but he did get his powers from magic. It wasn't like later on until the comics until they actually like delved into more of that lore. Uh, and that was kind of like when DC took over that, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, so the reason why Fawcett got into this copyright infringement battle, because at one time, I believe in like 1944 or like 1942, I think from like 1942 to 1944, the character of Captain Marvel, Billy Batson, was outselling Superman. And you have to understand is that while children would dream about or idolize being super, like dreaming and idolizing Superman, they could actually be Billy Batson, right? Captain Marvel, because Billy Batson was a normal human kid who is granted the powers of Captain Marvel. And it's like you could say that, hey, you can basically dream about being Superman, about being this alien Kryptonian guy from another planet with superpowers, or you can just be a regular kid and get powers from a cool ass wizard, some Gandalf looking motherfucker, and be the ideal self and be Captain Marvel. I mean, a lot of kids are probably going to go with the latter, and that's why they at one time all outsold Superman. And with that, DC, I can understand DC's stance where they weren't too friggin' happy with that, but also too, you have to understand it's like the reason why, and DC, it's kind of hard to say whether or not they won the case. I mean, it was more of a war. It was more of a war of attrition. So DC had more money than Fawcett, and they basically just outlasted him. I mean, at the end of the day, it was cheaper for Fawcett to basically be like, "Hey, listen, look, we're not going to run any more Shazam, but Captain Marvel books." See, now I'm saying it. Any more Captain Marvel Billy Batson books, because I mean they had like Wiz comics, and then they had Captain Marvel comic, and then they were, I believe, they had like 3 or 4 that they were going to be doing. I mean, the character was a popular character. Excuse me. And also too, like that's where the character kind of got the big red cheese, like nickname was actually coined in the Captain Marvel comic book, I believe. I want to say that was like 44 as well. Basically, what happened was how he got the name the Big Red Cheese is that Dr. Thaddeus Savannah saw that in the comic book, saw that a lot of people were infatuated with Captain Marvel. Even his daughter, Buta, I'm sorry, was infatuated with Captain Marvel, loved him. And so he was like, well, if everybody's infatuated with Captain Marvel, I'm going to basically make a serum that basically everyone hates, makes them hate him. And then and even Billy Batson, Captain Marvel's alter ego, hated him as well, and basically called him a big dumb red cheese. And then he, and in front of Buta, transforms into Captain Marvel, and Buta says, "Yeah, you're right. Billy's right. He is a big red cheese." And so thus that's where the nickname came from. And so basically it was something that was more derogatory towards Captain Marvel / Shazam. It has become basically his nickname now. So he's the big red cheese. But yeah, so getting back with the legal stuff. Yeah, so like I said before, it was a war of attrition. They outlasted Fawcett Comics. Fawcett basically said, "Listen, look, what we'll do, since we won't run any more publications of the comic books anymore." So thus that happened, and then next thing you know, I guess I believe that Fawcett, I want to say they went bankrupt, like Fawcett actual like publications, because Fawcett Comics was under Fawcett Publications, and I believe that they went bankrupt, and DC Comics actually acquired them. But I believe like in 1953, or no, I'm sorry, no, 53 is when they said that they weren't gonna run the comic book anymore. But I believe in like 72 they acquired the actual character, but they didn't do anything with the character. And next thing you know, Marvel had their Captain Marvel, Marvel, and they actually trademarked it. And the thing is that though DC had the character of Captain Marvel, Billy Batson, Marvel was smart enough to be like, or at least Stan Lee was smart enough to trademark it. Now, the thing was, they did run like a comic book name, like The Power of Shazam and stuff like that. But the character was still named Captain Marvel. But the reason why that was is because since now like in the 70s or like 60s is when Marvel, I believe, had the rights. But in the 70s, DC wanted to, I believe 72 is when DC wanted to up and start the character again. Well, they couldn't call the character Captain Marvel, like actually on the comic book. So they would actually say like The Power of Shazam or Shazam comic. But it's very confusing because the wizard is named Shazam, but the character is named Captain Marvel. So, and a lot of people would associate that character with Captain Marvel with the name Shazam, because that's what they thought that the character was named Shazam. Because it's kind of like, okay, well, why would you name the comic book Shazam and the character Captain Marvel? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. But it's because of a legal dispute that they had with, because here's the thing, is that they could call the character Captain Marvel, but they could not use any advertising or marketing display in the name of Captain Marvel, right? So the cover of a comic book poster, it had to be like Shazam, or the powers of the wizard Shazam, the trials of Shazam, things like that. It couldn't be Captain Marvel or the adventures of Captain Marvel or the Supreme Captain Marvel, right? Or Superior Captain Marvel. Like it couldn't be any of that. It had to be Shazam or somehow related to. I mean, they went with the Shazam because the powers come from the wizard, so it had to be related to that. So yeah, that's one of those things where it is really weird, and DC just not really trademarking their stuff just was really dumb on their part. And then you get into years later, because they stopped the Power of Shazam comic book, and years later, in I believe 2008, if I'm not mistaken, you have the Trials of Shazam. Now, the Trials of Shazam comes into play because you have Judd Winnick, who actually wrote the story for Under the Red Hood, which is the second, or the retcon of Jason Todd coming back, because Jason Todd actually came back in Infinite Crisis when Superboy Prime punched reality and shattered it. And thus certain DC characters that were once dead came back from from the grave. Excuse me. And basically, Superboy, or no, I'm sorry, Jason Todd was wandering and actually found Talia al Ghul found him and used the Lazarus pit on him. And then his memories actually were coming back and stuff like that. Because at first, Talia al Ghul took him in to the League of Assassins, but he was kind of like zombified, basically. I mean, he didn't know who he was. He had amnesia, but also too, Ra's al Ghul looked at him as basically like there's no help for him. So Talia was like, well, no one has ever been resurrected and used the Lazarus pit. So just basically she kind of dunked him in, and basically all of his memories came flashing back and stuff like that. And then Jed Winnick also, now he didn't write Infinite Crisis, but Jed Winnick, what he did was he was like, okay, to simplify matters, Talia al Ghul takes Jason Todd's dead body, puts it in the Lazarus pit because she's like, hey, listen, look, she wants to see if anybody can come back from the undead and to be resurrected from the Lazarus pit, because there is between being on your deathbed, almost on your deathbed, and actually dead. Actually dead on the deathbed, and been dead for a little while now, and so you're probably starting to decompose. So that's what Jed Winnick did, is that he kind of retconned the whole Infinite Crisis to basically simplify the story. And so he did a 12-issue maxi series called The Power of Shazam, the Trials of Shazam. Now this 12-issue maxi series is actually broken up into 2 volumes, Volume 1, Volume 2. I actually own Volume 2. I do not have Volume 1. Volume 1's a bit pricey. It's out of print, actually. And yeah, so it's you can get a decent copy for, I believe, like $40 or something, or some places I found was like 50 or 80. It's not worth it, honestly. But it's a very powerful story, because the thing is that we see Billy Batson, Captain Marvel, doing his thing, being Captain Marvel, and helping people, stuff like that. And the next thing you know, something happens. The wizard Shazam actually dies, right? And then we see Billy. He actually, his suit, instead of being red, it actually turns white. Instead of being red with a gold lightning bolt, it actually turns white with a gold lightning bolt. And his hair actually turns long and white. And he actually becomes the wizard. And with him being the wizard, he must pick a new Captain Marvel. So, rightfully so, it would probably go to, a person like Mary Marvel or Captain Marvel Jr. Mary Marvel is and this is pre-New 52, so she would be Mary Batson, Billy Batson's twin sister. And then you have Captain Marvel Jr., which is Freddie Freeman, his best friend. So instead of going to Mary Marvel, Freddie Freeman becomes a participant in the Trials of Shazam, because there's another contestant too, which is this other lady. Now, this lady is where Freddie is fighting to have the powers for good. She's actually fighting for the powers of evil. So imagine, if we're going to go with Star Wars, Freddie is the light side, while the other lady is the dark side. So they're both champions. And basically, Billy Batson, being the wizard, tells him about the trials. and says afterwards, before they start, that whoever champions the trials will have the power and be known by the name of Shazam. So this is where the first name of the character Shazam comes from. It's from Judd Winick, pre-New 52. Now, afterwards, Freddie Freeman, he gets the powers. I'm not going to go all into it. I mean, it's a great story. It's good. He actually has a guide with him. Kind of like if you have ever read Dante's Inferno, how Dante had on Good Friday at the beginning of the book, because it's set on Good Friday, he had Virgil being his spirit guide in hell. And the reason why, and it's in Dante's Inferno is really cool. The reason why Virgil was because Virgil wasn't a Christian, and he was born like before the death of Christ. So, or he was born before Christianity. So basically, even though he had no way of being a Christian, it's like really weird, but he had no way of being a Christian because he was born before the death of Christ and the birth of Christianity. By default, he is basically a heathen. So he gets to, so one of his duties, one of his tasks is to basically guide Dante into hell. So, and so you have a guide similar to Virgil with Freddie Freeman during the trials. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's like, and then later on you find out that spoilers, that the actual guide, I think their name is like Zabuk, something like that. It starts with a Z, which you find out is actually Zeus, the god Zeus. And Zeus was actually, and he tells like Freddy at the end, he's like, listen, look, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the god of gods. I'm the one who kind of comes down to, like, you can do the trials, all you and her can do the trials, but at the end of the day, I'm the one who has like the final judgment, the final decision. So, and that's like, and also to Shazam. I mean, it's an acronym. Okay, so it is the wisdom of Solomon. It is the strength of Hercules. It is the stamina of Atlas. It is the power of Zeus, courage of Achilles, and speed of Mercury. That is Shazam. And it's really cool that I actually remembered that off the top of my head. I'm not even reading anything. No joke. But yeah, so... But yeah, that's where the name Shazam comes from. Now, I will say, now the Wizard Shazam we actually learned in the Dark Side War that he actually has another name. I believe it's Mamaraga. Yeah. Yeah, Mamaraga, something like that. But he's actually a new god. He's actually, they retcon it in New 52, and they say that he is the only, that basically you have the Council of Eternity, and they are basically the old gods. And Mamaraga is actually a new god, and the first to be a part of the Council of Eternity. But since he's a part of the Council of Eternity, he had to change his name. so he changed it to Shazam. Who is later known as the Wizard. So, but yeah. So yeah, that's I think that's very fascinating, and also too. But yeah, what else? So yeah, and then we get into after Flashpoint and then New 52, we get into we get into the origins, if you will, of Billy Batson, and oh well, here's the thing too, and here's a little note that okay, so during Flashpoint, because Flashpoint is basically a in between pre-New 52 and 52, and this is how the New 52 is actually kind of created, was actually made because of Flashpoint, or it was one cog in the endless machine and a wheel of storytelling. So before there was Flashpoint, I want to say there's a comic, I can't remember what it's called, but you actually have the Shazam family, and there's actually, instead of 3 people, there's actually 6. So they actually introduce 3 new people. They introduce Pedro Pena, Darla Dudley, excuse me, and Eugene Choi. And all of them share the power of Shazam, which is pretty cool. And then I cannot remember who wrote that. It was, I believe it was a 3-issue miniseries Flashpoint. I actually have Deathstroke, the Terminator, and the Batman 3-parter. But during this Flashpoint, like tie-in, basically, because during Flashpoint, like, the world has changed. Bruce Wayne actually dies. His father becomes Batman. His mother becomes the Joker. What else? The Atlanteans and Amazonians are at war. Barry Allen doesn't have his powers. He's actually a normal guy. Let me see. And the only thing, and the reason why is because it hinges on the precipice that basically Barry Allen wanted to save the life of his mother. So that way, because his father was framed for the death of his mother, which we learned that was Eobard Thawne, Reverse Flash, who actually killed her, and was kind of like was also the catalyst for making Flash. It's a crazy time loop, because time is infinite. It's not linear, as a lot of people like to think. That's why we have the time-space continuum. But yeah, so he was like, I'm going to go back and try to right this wrong. But basically, it's like, I think, what was it, 11/22/63? Kind of like that, where it's a Stephen King novel, but they also made it a miniseries on Hulu with James Franco, where James Franco goes back and he saves President Kennedy's life. But with that, we actually have a nuclear holocaust, or basically we are living in nuclear fallout because of that, at least in the Stephen King novel. So that's what Stephen King kind of hypothesized, that basically the Cold War never would end. The Bay of Pigs was just the beginning. So and yeah, so if Kennedy had lived, and this is basically what it is, because you have the Atlanteans and the Amazonians at war with each other, because Aquaman and Diana Prince were supposed to marry. Artemis actually kills Hippolyta, Wonder Woman's mother, and frames Mara with a death, or at least Atlanteans in general. Wonder Woman doesn't take too kind to that, so she actually kills Mara. And Arthur Curry doesn't take too kind to that. And so they're at war. And there's just a ton of other things going on in that realm. Like I said, Thomas Wayne is Batman. He also runs a casino with Oswald Cobblepot. Oswald Cobblepot is never the gangster penguin, armed black market arms dealer as well. Deathstroke the Terminator is actually a pirate who is actually looking for a cure for his daughter, Rose. I believe. I think I can't remember if she has the same disease that Victor Freeze's wife has as well. I can't remember. I don't know in that universe. But yeah, they're pirates on the open sea. He mans a crew. But yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, it's so the Shazam family. So those three new characters that show up in the New 52, Pedro, Darla, and Eugene, that's where they first show up. Now in the New 52, they actually take those characters and what's pretty cool, I will say this, I mean, there are some things that they changed. And so with the New 52, Jeff Johns was the one who wrote it. Gary Frank did the art, and it was actually backups starting in Justice League number 7. And I believe all the way up to issue 20. There's like 13 chapters, but they actually skip. So I believe 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then I think that they skip. And then you have Justice League issue 0, which is I believe came out before 13, because after one full year of the New 52, they actually did, as a 13th issue, instead of doing 13, they actually did 0 first, like a 0 issue, basically, like Origins issue. Now with the Justice League Origins one, they actually did the full comic about Billy Batson and stuff like that. And it was actually him showing up to the Wizard and under the subway and stuff like that. And the thing is that, so I believe in issue 7, you see this one guy. He's gets on the subway. He takes the subway car to where the Wizard Shazam is at, and the Wizard Shazam looks into him and tries to see pure good inside of this man, which basically he finds out the man's not purely good, and so he actually denies the man his power. And then we see Victor and Rosa Vasquez looking to adopt Billy. Billy is at this foster home, and he's playing nice and stuff like that, and he's ran away from other foster homes and stuff like that, but he's kind of playing them. The foster guardian is playing them too, because she just wants to get rid of Billy. So they're both kind of playing nice in front of the Vasquezes, Victor and Rosa. And then next thing you know, Billy is taken in by the Vasquez home, and then you find out that there are actually 5 other children who are adopted by the Vasquezes, and Freddie Freeman is one of them. Mary Bromfield who was Mary Batson pre-New 52, but now it's Mary Bromfield. That she is actually not related to Billy at all, and is actually 2 years older than he is. And then we see there is Darla, there's Pedro, and there is Eugene as well. So everybody from the Flashpoint Shazam family comic is actually in this. So thus Jeff Johns took those three other siblings, foster siblings, and put them in this one as well. So that way you could have better rounded Shazam families. There are 3, now you have 6. So Billy's taken in the family. Freddy actually shows him the ropes of his first day at school and stuff like that. And Freddy is actually being bullied by these 2 jackass of brothers. I want to say that they're twins, but I could be wrong. There's some goofy looking motherfuckers. And their dad's like one of the richest guys in the community, and they live in Philadelphia as well, just to let you know. And their father's a real piece of work. I mean, he's a real charmer. But yeah, so it's like the kids are bullying Freddy, and Freddy, he's crippled. He uses forearm crutches as well. And so the kids bully him for his lunch money. Billy basically takes one of his forearm crutches and beats the shit out of one of these kids. Well, both of them actually. And basically says, "Hey, I hate bullies." And one of the faculty members sees him do that, I believe, and he has to go to the headmaster's office or the principal's office. Excuse me. And then the kids are saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get you," and it's like, and then they try to. I believe later on they try to get Billy, and Billy tells Freddy to hide because basically, hey man, like you can't run. So because he's like, hey man, hide in these bushes because you can't run. Oh yeah, because they go to the parents' house and or to the boys' house and I think they're going to mess with the vehicle, their dad's vehicle or something. And so basically the kids start running after Billy. Billy kind of ditches them into the subway, and that's when basically he takes the subway car to the Wizard Shazam. And then basically the wizard kind of repeats the same thing with the other guy. They did with the other guy, looks into Billy's into Billy's psyche, into his mind, and sees if he is fully pure of heart. And he's like, and then the wizard Shazam sighs and it's like, he's like, I've been at this forever. Is there no one who is pure of heart? And basically Billy tells him, no. Nobody's pure of heart. No one's all pure. We're, human beings, man. And then that kind of like snaps something like a lightning bulb goes off in the Wizard Shazam's head and is like, well, maybe I'm like looking at it all wrong. Maybe I should see if a person actually has the potential to be good, And then so he looks inside Billy again, look inside his psyche, and yeah, he actually sees that Billy does have the potential. Billy Batson does have the potential to be good. He sees what he did to the bullies that were harassing Freddy and stuff like that, and basically tells him, "Hey, say my name to get my powers, so you can be granted with my powers." Says his name, and bada bing, bada boom. The wizard leaves, and Billy Batson becomes Shazam. He's like, because he basically he's like, what's your name? It's like, and the wizard's like Shazam, and then he's like Shazam, and then he says it. But here's the thing, though. Here's the caveat. He's like, listen, look, you can't say my name. You got to say my name with good intentions. You just can't say it. You have to say it because you cannot have any malice. You cannot have any maleficent or any wrongdoing in your heart. You have to have good intentions when you say it. And I like that caveat that Jeff Johns wrote into that. So because the thing is that when Captain Marvel, when he would have to say the wizard's name Shazam to get his powers, right? So it's kind of crazy to say, because if anyone says the name Shazam, well, Billy could lightning bolt, because he says the name Shazam. If he's Billy Batson, lightning bolt hits him, he becomes Shazam, right? If he's Shazam, lightning bolt hits him, he turns back into Billy Batson because it's magic. Now, if you're a person like in Kingdom Come, where Billy Batson actually used magic against Superman, a Kryptonian alien from another planet, he said the name Shazam, moved out of the way, held Superman, moved out of the way real quick, and Superman, boom, got hit with lightning. Well, next thing you know, that magic actually harms Kryptonians, actually hurt Superman, made him bleed, which was pretty cool. So that's why it's just one of the things that he wrote in, where, because it would be nonsensical for him to basically say his name and then say the name Shazam, and then anyone listens to him say it. Someone says Shazam, next thing you know, he's flipping back and forth between Billy Batson. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So yeah, it has to be of good, and you have to say it with good intentions. So you can't do harm to others. You can't say it with a vindictive personality. You can't have revenge or killing, or like what I said, malice intent, vindictive intent. Has to be good intentions. You have to have good intent. Basically, being a superhero. And to me, that the way that Jeff Johns wrote that in, that was really cool. And I actually really like that and really enjoy it. And so yeah, so that's where now, after the New 52 run, we have what is now the Shazam comic book, right? We're 3 issues in deep. We are, the 4th one is supposed to come out, I believe. Let me just see, the 27th of March. So this month. Last week of March. Last Wednesday of March. And it's Shazam and the 7 Magic Lands. Has to deal with that. And has to deal with the Shazam family. Dealing with the 7 Magic Lands. And yeah, I mean, it's a really good book so far. But here's another caveat: is that book was actually supposed to be out after Doomsday Clock, because Doomsday Clock was supposed to reintroduce the JSA plus Shazam and the Shazam family. With Doomsday Clock being plagued with so many delays, and probably I wouldn't doubt that number 10 is going to be delayed too, because it's supposed to come out April 10th. But I can imagine that it probably won't come out until May or even June. I don't know. I hope fingers crossed that it does come out May 10th. I would be shocked and awe and amazed and surprised because we still have 3 more issues to go. 10, 11, 12. Like I was saying about the trials of Shazam. Well, Doomsday Clock is a maxi series as well. Well, it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be monthly. First issue came out November 22nd, 2017. Right now is March 17th, 2019. And we only have 9 books that have been printed of that. I don't even think the original Watchmen took that long to come out. But yeah, that's one of the disappointing things is that basically the JSA, the Justice League of the Justice Society of America, excuse me, because you have the JLA, Justice League of America, or the Justice League, and you have the JSA, the Justice Society of America. So you have the original Sandman, you have Hawkman, you have Hourman, you have Captain Marvel, you have Jay Garrick, Flash, you have Alan Scott, Green Lantern. I believe you have the Atom as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But yeah. Yeah, you have all these characters. But yeah, and that's just disappointing because it was supposed to. But that's one thing about Doomsday Clock, and I'm not trying to make this a Doomsday affair. But so many books were supposed to come out after it, but hey, the trains have to run on time, and the thing is that things have to be put into motion. Things have to be constantly moving towards that destination. So, Doomsday Clock will come out when it comes out and wrap up when it wraps up. But yeah, so yeah, I wanted to do this video just to give people a background. So like one of the things too is like, okay, so like I bought the game Mortal Kombat versus the DC Universe, and I am going to take a minute real quick to see when this actual game came out. Okay, so the game came out November 16th, 2008. Mortal Kombat versus the DC Universe. Now, this is one of the last games, I believe, the last game that actually has the character Billy Batson as Captain Marvel in it. Known as Captain Marvel in it. And it's actually pretty cool. I picked the game up today from GameStop because I'm an employee of GameStop. They've been very good to me, and I love working there. And I took it home, played it on my Xbox 360. Only bad thing about it is that it's not backwards compatible, so I can't play it on my Xbox One. I thought it was backwards compatible, but I was mistaken. But that's okay. I mean, another game that I really love playing is Lego Lord of the Rings on the Xbox 360, but that's not backwards compatible at all, so I can't play either of those on my Xbox One. But that's okay. I played Mortal Kombat versus the DC Universe, beat it with the character of Shazam, got the ending, and it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I actually did instead of fatalities for the DC characters, they have heroic brutalities. I actually did both of them. There's one that I like more in it, just because you knock you power up with lightning. You uppercut the person while they're in the air, you say Shazam, and next thing you know, you see lightning, flash of lightning, deep fry and extra crispy the person. They fall on the ground. Then the next thing you know, you fly up and you stomp them into the ground, and then you get off of them, and it's like heroic brutality. It's like, that's pretty cool. But also too, I do kind of like the gameplay, because you can actually grab one of the special moves. You can actually grab a person. You put them in a reverse bear hug, and you have them toward up towards the sky, and you say Shazam, and the lightning bolt actually hits them. A full on frontal, which is like, it's so cool. But yeah, that's a pretty good one too. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. I'm still trying to learn. I mean, it's kind of like the first time I've played it, I believe. So I'm still trying to learn like the combos and stuff. I got my ass kicked like multitude of times, just because I was just trying to beat it, and I put it on very easy too, so I could just beat it, so I could just get the story ending for Captain Marvel. Because yeah, like I said before, Billy Batson is not known as Shazam in the game. He's actually known as Captain Marvel, and he's actually rocking the old suit too, the old Captain Marvel suit. So I kind of like that. It's very, very classic. So very, very classic, and very Alex Ross painting inspired as well. So the traditional Alex Ross Captain Marvel. So very cool. But yeah, so I just I wanted to give a little bit of backstory, and felt like, I don't want to say like I owed people, but I kind of wanted to explain why I say Captain Marvel Billy Batson rather than Shazam, and I say Captain Marvel Carol Danvers. So, man, I felt like there, I felt like there was enough enough material there where I could actually at least fit like an hour, or maybe like a good chunk, even if it was a shorter video, that I could go like a 45 minutes, 50 minutes on it. So, but yeah, I think now I'm kind of like starting to ramble a little bit, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. So yeah, so thank you once again, everyone, for listening to this. I'm so terribly sorry that Chris and I did not do another Gentleman with Cocktails this weekend. Hopefully Chris will be feeling better, and next week we can actually do one for you, because a lot of new books came out, and yeah, so yeah, it's like totally want to dive into some stuff. Also too, I was going to talk to Chris about the new announcement that James Gunn is back with Marvel. He's been rehired to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3 now. What a shocker. I mean, Marvel it was just asinine of them to just kind of fire him in the first place for tweets that happened 10 years ago, and they totally knew about it, but they were just totally put the cart before the horse on that one. They were just being very reactionary, and it was basically an alt-right group that brought that to light. And so yeah, I mean, I'm not, and I do think that his joking was very distasteful. I don't agree with it. I understand the significance of that. I will say this: we all do dumb stuff when we're in our 20s, when we're very immature, or even if the guy was like, I think he may be a little bit older than me. He may have been in his young 30s, but still, I mean, it's not an excuse. And yes, your actions do have consequences. I will say that. Yeah, it was in poor taste. You should never joke about stuff like that. Never. What he did. But there has to be some type of way that how long do we have to wait until we actually have to do something that I know a lot of people in this world like to, you know, things that are preached more than practiced, and that's forgiveness. How long do we wait until we actually forgive a person? How long do we put them into that, so-called air quotes, Hollywood prison or Hollywood jail or just life jail or life prison, right? If you're not a celebrity, the metaphoric jail where it's like you kind of just how long do we oust a person until the rehabilitation can begin? I mean, I understand, and that's one of those. I don't have the answers, unfortunately. That's one of those things I wanted to talk about Chris with about. Like I said before, I do not believe that James Gunn has apologized too for his actions. I mean, before, and he said that they were in poor taste, and he did that like even like 2 years after the messages and stuff like that. And Disney knew what they were getting into with him. I mean, they knew it's just that they were just being all reactionary and stuff like that. And that's just one of the things I wanted to get into with Chris. I wanted to also get into like what the movie Shazam is actually tracking, because they're actually tracking it to, I believe, make, I want to say between $50 to $65 million, and it only cost $90 million to make. I thought it would cost more to make, but it only cost $90 million to make. That's pretty good. So yeah, wanted to get into that with maybe some other things too. I see that Google is actually making their own console now, which is crazy. But yeah, there's so many things I wanted to get into with them. But yeah, I'll just leave off on that. So yeah, like I said, I'm rambling again. But I just wanted to say to everyone who listened, I do apologize that wasn't a Gentleman with Cocktails, and hopefully we can have another one this week for you. So, Chris, if you listen to this, man, hope you feel better, brother. I'm so sorry that you came down with the flu, and Godspeed with you, man. And I'll pray for a safe and fast recovery for you, man. And to everyone else, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. Please, as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, also to share with your friends. Let them know about Handsome Cobra, the channel. I woke up today, I saw that I had like 26. We had 26 subscribers, and then it kind of went down to 25. I don't know how that happened, but I guess somebody unsubscribed. So I was like, oh, that's kind of sucks. But but yeah. So yeah, if you want us to build, if you want us to get some notoriety, I hope that's the right word. I hope that is the right word that I'm looking for. If you want us to expand and grow, then hey, tell your friends, share the videos, a comment too. I know Chris and we would love to see some comments from people. Even if it's like, you guys fucking suck. It's like, oh hey, thanks, man. Thanks for the encouragement. How can we like less suck or not suck? It's like, but yeah, comment below, let us know. Once again, like the video, subscribe to the channel. As always, share with your friends. Get the word out. Love to all. God bless. And as always, you know the magic words. Aloha.